friends Krystal and Annie have joined me again to do a true crime podcast. And the second case that we're going to, and we'll go through and be a little more specific, but the reason why I bring it up, Krystal, is the Fort Bragg. Is it Fort Hood or Fort Bragg? Fort Hood case that we're going to cover today. I think one of the allegations was that she was going to turn him in for having an affair with a married woman, and that's why he committed the crime that he did, which is also still considered a crime in the army and in the military, right? So,
absolutely.
Well, we'll go back and we'll be a little more clear about what we're going to do today. So, what we're going to do is we're doing a true crime podcast. We had done a true crime Tuesday, the Lori Vallow case, and it's done so well, and it continues to climb. This podcast is something that I started during the quarantine. It's something I've always wanted to do, but the true crime is a particular passion of mine, and it's also a passion of my friends here. And we are going to cover 3 cases today. Before we do any of that, I want to say that our heart always goes out to the victims in this case and the families. And we know that you didn't ask for any of this. Sometimes we can be a little funny and a little cheeky about the way that we do things, but we in no way make light of the fact that there was crimes committed and that people are hurting. And that is not funny. And we know that it's not funny, but we will make each other laugh during this because some of this stuff is ridiculous and I'm sorry. It just is. If you don't want to laugh, then you definitely should not watch this. We're going to do 3 cases today. And I'm going to introduce my friend Krystal. Krystal Scruggs is are you California native?
I am California.
Cali native. And you did the last one with us and you are a true crime lover like I am. What case do you want to discuss today?
So today I want to discuss the Vanessa Guillen case. This is the young female officer, soldier that was at Fort Hood. Yeah. She was stationed there. She's now a specialist. Posthumously they made her a specialist, but this young woman was being sexually harassed by a superior. He was a little bit higher than her. And she was having a hard time with that and, kind of wanted to solve the situation itself. And we'll kind of get more into it, but he had previous allegations against him. And so she felt that she didn't have kind of any recourse leverage, hey, I'm going to go and do file another claim and nothing is going to happen, just as before, the other young women that were harassed by him.
And in some ways it puts you in danger, really, because these women are not treated equally. Yeah. I mean, maybe this will change things, but they're not, and they know that if they start to ruffle too many feathers, it can mean some pretty hard times for them there. So a lot of them have learned the hard way not to say anything, which is disgusting.
It's a long history of so many women in Army, Navy for years with this horrible.
So I'm excited to talk about that, Krystal. And Annie, you have a very interesting case as well, which I just brushed up on. And and also it's interesting because we have discussed in some of your past podcasts with me that you speak French, that you went to France. You did, is it a semester abroad?
Abroad.
And you are kind of in love with the French culture. So it doesn't shock me that you found this case, although there is there's a reboot of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix right now, which is really good. So if anybody hasn't watched it, you should go see it. It's actually really good. That guy with that great voice is gone now. I believe he's passed on. Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? But
I like the new format. I think it's really good.
The new format's awesome, and the stories are awesome. So what is the third story we're going to cover, Annie?
So the third story is called House of Terror. In French is La Maison du Pouvant, and it's by the way, I smile a lot when I talk, I realize, and again, I'm not smiling at the murders. It's just the way I communicate. But so a seemingly happy family is found murdered in 2011 in Nantes, France. It's a large city. And it's so methodical how it happens. They actually discover the bodies, and there is a prime suspect who's still at large and unsolved. And I wanted to bring attention to it in this format here. And because the Unsolved Mysteries is now on Netflix, I wanted to kind of get the international APB, so to speak, out there.
Definitely.
Looking, because I feel that this person is still alive. We're going to get into the details.
No question. And I also think this person could be in the United States, and we'll discuss why that is the case. Yeah, they could easily be here.
Easily.
Yeah, I thought that too. And you know that a lot of those shows lead to capture.
Yes, exactly.
They just do. They lead to capture because somebody's watching the thing and they went, "Oh my God, that's James!" You know, I
my
bowl
neighbor.
with James.
That's my neighbor.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, he's got that smile. I mean, because they show, you know, it's.
Well,
but,
you know,
I always said this too.
But yeah, the first unsolved mysteries led to, or was that America's Most Wanted? Anyway, one of these types of shows led to killers that have been on the run for 40 plus years. And so Anne's doing this story, and I'm so interested in this story because it just something like this happened, you know, in that whole instance, you know, we bring up these past cases like John List, you know, and I brought him up.
We talked about that.
And sometimes, especially today, with all of the social media, sorry, the cat is just not going away.
Hi, Dottie.
You know, so many more people are just intrigued and they're able to see these things, and they have a good chance to
definitely. I also think that a lot of these cases happen before social media and before online and before, you know, all of these, and people are keeping their eyes open more now. You know, there are more online sleuths. There are more people like us who are looking and understand that their part is huge. They could end up playing a huge part in the capture of some of these criminals. We wanted to, though, it's going to be great. I'm excited to talk about both of those cases. We wanted to start, though, with a follow-up on Lori Vallow, which is actually how we started this, you know, new tradition, I guess you could call it, of this True Crime Tuesdays. I don't know if this is definitely going to air on a Tuesday. It'll always stay up so people can watch it over and over again. But it is a Tuesday today. We are filming this on a Tuesday. So I feel like it counts as a True Crime Tuesday. But
absolutely.
let's do a cheers. I don't know if you guys are having a drink, but I'm having a drink.
Water because it's so early.
Oh, yeah, it's early.
Yeah,
California. I'm in New York.
It looks like a drink, though, right? It's Harry Fizz limeade or something.
I'm drinking a beer. I just am.
I actually I'm doing a little clean eating and drinking during the week because I've been drinking wine every evening. So we'll see how this goes.
I'll tell you what, part of the quarantine, what a crazy time. I feel like I literally sometimes feel like I just want to sit down at this camera and just rant because of everything that's happening in the world.
I know.
But I always have to remember that I'm a little bit of a public figure and I have to watch sometimes what I say, but I am going, like even Krystal and I were just talking about the fact that they took down the Bob's Big Boy statues.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, Krystal, is that racist? She goes, how the hell am I supposed to know? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. She goes, neither do I.
I just don't. Yeah.
In Burbank.
I was like, I don't know. I there could be some type of justification for, again, everybody, there's got to be a reason they took it down. I don't even know if there was people calling for it. It seemed like it may have been their own thing, but I don't know the story. So, I just know that I saw a clip and they were bringing it down. Yeah, and I was thinking, okay, I know it's a figure though from the 50s, right?
Right. So maybe it's a symbol of something we don't know.
It might be a symbol of something and we don't.
I don't know. Is it offending people at this point, though? I just feel like, can't we pick our battles? I don't know. I just feel like there are certain things that we need to absolutely address.
Yeah, like things sorry to interrupt. Breonna Taylor's murders are still out. I believe they're not arrested.
Right.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's one
awful.
Of things that we should be thinking about, and then just things that just feel sort of like extraneous and like a distraction and actually kind of inciting, like a fight between races that doesn't need to happen. Do you know? Everybody needs to agree and be together and understand what's really happening. But when you start like getting a little bit like extra in the way that you are fighting a very serious battle, you start to risk the fighting itself becoming the focus as opposed to everybody getting together and like really fixing what's going on here, what's wrong. Yeah, but okay, so Lori Vallow, I'm sorry, I digress, but
that's okay.
It's okay.
That's okay.
I could talk about it forever.
It's close,
Poor Mark.
It's close to a lot of people.
Yeah,
I talk about.
I would say poor Mark and I are locked in this house together, really, for the most part, and like all I ever do is want to discuss like topics with him. So the minute I get another face in front of me, I'm like, so what do you think about everything?
I get it, man. I get it.
So,
I totally get it.
You know what I mean? So, okay. So Lori Vallow, this is an interesting case. Obviously, everybody knows about the Lori Vallow case. So the more time that goes by and the more I learn and the more footage I watch of her, being flippant laughing, being cute and giggly while all of these crimes had been taking place, while the kids were still missing, while, you know, the ex-husband dies, when this one and that one, you know, and she's just at pool parties, and there's this footage of her. The kids are missing at this point, and there are updates for the case too, but I'm making a point to say that I'm watching some back footage of her now that we know what happened to these children. We know that new charges have been brought. Basically, you know, tampering with a corpse and conspiracy. Those are the two basic charges that they've both Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow have been brought up on at this point. But there's footage of them walking in Hawaii when we all know that the children are missing, and at that point they're dead. There's no question. Yeah. I don't know if they're buried in his backyard at that point. We don't know. We don't know if they were moved. We've talked about that. We think it's possible that they were. Also, the fact that they were buried in a pet cemetery. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Yeah. Right.
So they're buried so there's this footage of her walking with Chad, and I think they're at the airport at this point, and the reporter's being a little obnoxious, but he's in his face. He's, your children are missing and nobody knows where they are, and the police are trying to find them. You know, people are praying for you. Don't you have anything to say? And she goes, "That's great."
Yeah, see, that right there is.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, you be wanting, you know, especially knowing that. You know, now you kind of like, man, just want to punch her in her face.
What is wrong with you? And this is the thing. I'm watching her now too. Like, there's like, remember that photograph of her? I'm going to do an impression of it. Ready? It's like, she's in her stripes and she's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Totally. Before the mask, I think. This is before the mask.
Before the mask, she's like,
yeah.
She's got no makeup on.
Yeah. She's like, this is not my best look.
She's not cute, but she's got this kooky look on her face, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, something's wrong with you, man. She is so arrogant, and but I came to find out a few things that I thought were sort of not interesting, tragic, but interesting in terms of like the whole kind of scope of the story. So apparently, you know, Chad Daybell made a lot of predictions about the end of the world, and the most recent one just passed on July 22nd. Yeah,
guys,
I know.
We made it.
I know. So we made it. There was a weird one where, like, in March or something, he predicted an earthquake, and he predicted the size of it, and apparently he was right. So there was like a 5.7. Now I figure, like, even a stopped clock is right twice a day, right? So it's like, who knows? Maybe he got lucky.
Well, he does use people's closets as
portals. Yeah, as his portals. So maybe he hopped into like a nice hat box and got like a really really good message from the universe. So the 5.7 earthquake that happened in March, he did predict, and then he also predicted the end of the world on July 22nd, and that has passed. Now, part of me kind of said that I thought some of their arrogance. The other thing I just want to mention is, you are going to see circles and squares in my eyes until I'm in a professional studio. I have lights and I have to wear glasses, and there's nothing I can do. It's just like, part of like wearing, it's just part of watching my podcast, and it's driving me crazy, but there's nothing I can do no matter where I put them. If I move my head.
Now I'm looking at them.
It's okay.
It's a professional outfit, everybody, as long as you can hear me.
Every celebrity on every podcast has the same as you.
So do they? Okay, because I really can't see without them. You guys will be a blor. And
no problem.
What I need is the LASIK. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. So the 22nd passed, thank God. And I've been giving this a lot of thought. First of all, her daughter Tylee had accused her father of molesting her. I don't know exactly how old she was. She was small, though, at the time. And it was the husband, Joseph Ryan, that she was married to, who was being accused of it. He was, Joseph Ryan was husband number 3, I believe.
Yeah,
so he's her biological father, right?
This was her biological father. This was Tylee's biological father. Now, now Charles Vallow and Lori adopted JJ, right, from a relative of his, I believe.
JJ, not the boy.
I believe, or a relative. I believe it was a relative of his. Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So, what I was going to say is this: couple things. You know, she was like a woman of God, right? So she's going to church and she's like quoting scripture and she's going to Bible, meetings, and she thinks she's the chosen one. But this is a woman who's been married 5 times.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah, it's all.
5 times.
No offense, I'm not trying to be judgy. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm
like,
judging, because here's why. Do not read your Bible to me.
Girl.
Ding ding.
Do not and do not tell me that you are chosen by. Listen, I'm not walking around saying God's my homeboy. I've also never been married, but it's like, or not really. That is a podcast for another day. That is a podcast for another day. But my point is like, yeah, when it comes to me, don't judge me, because I'm not ever telling anybody, right? Like any more, like morally what to do. But like, this woman is somebody who, like, don't you think at that point you should figure out how to just like keep your relationship straight and like, and choose someone that's going to be a good partner for you, and like work on your marriage and figure out how to, be with somebody who's going to be good to your children and not molest them and murder them? Like, at what point does it become Lori's fault? Like, at what point do we now look at this?
It's
like,
never,
because she comes flitting in like the freaking Breck girl, and good for her, honey. But, and it can be deceiving. And I think that's what I'm saying, because she's so pretty.
Yeah.
I think that she has gotten away with a lot, and I think in her life probably. And I'm trying to figure out, like, who was this woman and how innocent is she really? And how sorry should I necessarily feel for her? I know that you have a little information on Chad Daybell, Krystal, because you were saying that this is not the first time he did this. And when you said that to me, I started to feel sorry for her a little bit. But the more time that goes by,
a lot of people do.
Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern. So tell me about what are your thoughts on it? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of with you, Cassidy. At first, when I first, it all went down, and then I was, seeing this couple. They were both just, I was down on them. I was like, what? They're evil. This woman is evil incarnate. And then these stories started coming out, and I was thinking, okay, we get a little older, maybe these things that she was going through, and yada yada yada.
Right, like in other words, like hormonally, and like she's lonely, and she was easily manipulated or whatever. But
then at the end of the day, you just got to be realistic, right? We have to all be realistic. It's kind of like back in the day when crimes would happen, no one would think a woman would even be doing anything, and here we have all these women with the axes looking like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I did it. And so, sometimes if we see what's in our face, it's one in our face. And the fact that, all these things happen, regardless if this woman she couldn't have been coerced, at the end of the day, she was doing her own thing.
Well, we know a gun wasn't. We know a gun wasn't held to her head. I mean, this is not like Patty Hearst, like, and even that the jury's not on that. But this is somebody, right? That's another story. That's for another day. But the idea that maybe you are being held in some way hostage, and that it's at least an arguable point that, like, well, she was forced, and it's like, listen.
Not to kill your kids.
I don't think so.
No, and the fact too, like, and I guess what I'm trying to, the spin, because like, you watch a lot of these podcasts, and the only real new news at this point, right, are 2 things. One, the judge has denied Chad Daybell's motion to not live stream and to not allow cameras in the courtroom. That's an update. The latest charges were filed. I mean, we're already going back a little bit now, so we know that the latest charges were filed. I mean, so I guess my point is that a lot of people talk about, the actual case and the charges and the updates in the case. My thing is kind of peeling back the layers of a woman who, and any woman, frankly, who has to have a man always and cannot live her life unless she is being adored by somebody and like somebody's falling in love with her, and to the detriment of her children and the people that she brought into this world and put herself in charge of. And this is the thing that you see with women a lot. You
Right.
don't see them killing their kids. I mean, this shit is like, come on, like
Yeah.
out. And there
She
are a
had somebody
million.
do it. She had somebody do that part.
Right. And good point.
Right.
I mean,
And how much of it is killing them emotionally when
Yeah.
you're doing this anyway, right? When you're constantly bringing men in and out, when you're constantly changing, like uprooting them and changing their security structure and like putting them at risk in any way. I mean, you may not be killing them physically, but aren't you killing who they could have been, you know?
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
you're
she
not
did
being
that along.
responsible. Like, you get to make that mistake once, for
Right.
sure. You get to get
That's what I'm
married
saying.
young and like go, you
Sure,
know, I did
yeah.
absolutely.
She
When
did it
you
a
start
lot.
doing that shit 5 times,
That's what I'm saying.
That's where, if I may speak,
course.
manipulator comes to mind.
There you go. And good
Master
point.
manipulator.
she is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's what we all have to, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Because you do feel, okay, well, man, yeah, this man, he masterminded this whole thing. He's got other things going on, but
She met her match.
he found, like we said the
Oh,
last
you
time,
think that's what it
he found
is?
somebody
I really
who says
do.
that tea.
I think, like, you know, when you meet somebody, he, she, they brings out the best in you. You're such a pair. Well, he and she met and they brought out the devil in them. I really do think that everyone has a lightness and darkness. And I feel like when they met, she already had some negative stuff going on. Like the ex-husband was saying, she's talking crazy.
Yes.
You know, they had the ex-husband, by the way, on a video.
Yes.
Yeah.
His wife is weird. This is the whole thing. Why is it taking so long? You know, the convictions. It's like this man was saying, you know, she's acting so strange, talking about the end of the world. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
She said she was going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yes.
He tried to help himself.
Daybell,
He really did. And his kids.
He
Yeah.
did, and he
They
loved
sucked him
her. You
off.
could see he loved her. I mean, you know, he was with
Yeah.
her for 10 years. This is somebody who knew her.
no, right. And even this oldest son was like, I'm so shocked my mom is acting, did this, you know, the oldest one. He was like,
Yeah.
and the other thing, y'all, don't forget, Chad Daybell is a professional grave digger. That whole thing.
Right.
What? What?
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
There's other women
say-
missing, by the way, most likely have worked with Chad back in the past.
Yeah.
FYI. So the children, being buried, he most likely buried. I don't know what
That's
the
why.
waiting
Okay.
for.
Okay. Hold the phone, Annie.
Yeah, sorry.
So let's start with,
Anna's
he's a
right.
professional gravedigger. Help me. What?
He had a job. He had a job with I believe the church. They interviewed the man. It was on like YouTube.
Yep.
His boss, like maybe a decade ago.
So it was like his gig.
His gig, and he was sitting. The guy was
Yeah.
like, super professional. I cannot believe this man is now who he goes. I'm so shocked that he is this doomsday person. When he worked for me, he was really professional, really amazing. But he worked as a gravedigger for at least, I want to say, 5 years. I'm not exactly sure of the timeline, but yeah, you can check it out. And so this whole thing with the children being buried or found, he had something to do with it. And I don't know if the prosecution's waiting for more evidence on this.
Yeah.
It's out there now, just FYI. That's like a big,
Well,
I think she maybe found
And then
out.
the other thing you just said was that there are other people missing?
That's what, according
That's
to
what-
Krystal?
Yeah. He was being looked at for some other woman's disappearance. I can't remember her name now. I said it in the last one. Some other's disappearance. And I think he might be tied to other things. Well, he's tied to other crimes where regard of like theft and things like that. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about stealing things like this woman's book rights and stuff like that, you know. Where at the end of the day, you know, I think that you just dealing with two opportunists. And that's the most dangerous type of individual, right? Because nobody is going to get in the way. They're going to figure it out, you know? And it's almost like he fell upon, okay, he was a gravedigger. He fell upon, oh, well, this is a nice racket, writing these doomsday, getting into this. This is kind of like a niche where it's not really, not where I'm, you know, in my religion, he saw an end. You know, he's a manipulator, a master manipulator, like Anne was saying, and he found the better half that is going to work with him on that.
Wow.
Because for whatever reason that, you know, this woman she was the same way. She just wanted out for self. I don't know what the hell went wrong with her, but something.
I think it's
was
a
not right
combination
with
of
her.
things. I think she's insecure. I think that she is easily distracted and manipulated. I think she was looking for something. I think she was always looking for something. And I get it. Like, as someone who you know, meets a lot of guys. I don't know how else am I supposed to put that. Meets a lot of guys. I can understand the lure, like to just sort of change and be like, well, like this would be fun for a little, or this would be, and I'm getting bored now. And it's like, I just want that thing to make me feel, I don't do that, but I get it. I get that.
You
And
chasing that high.
Absolutely. And I have, like anybody would in a long-term relationship, there are times anybody would just go, God, I could just use a little. Now there's a difference between doing it and thinking it or wanting it, and it's completely normal to get, kind of just to feel depressed or just to feel like I need a change but this is a woman who clearly was always trying to like cash, like a one up or get, or like, oh, this person's paying more attention to me now. And this looks better for me to be now with somebody who's a celebrity and he makes me look good and we can be this like power couple. The thing that makes it really sinister is this twist, this sort of, we're doing it for Jesus thing, or we're doing it for God, or everyone's a zombie. And I really think in my heart of hearts that part of her arrogance for a long time was the fact that she thought it was the end of the world on July 22nd. And I'd be curious to know what she thinks now.
I know everyone on YouTube is like, she's steaming.
I don't think she thought that shit.
You don't even think she believed it.
So clearly some of these, I don't know if they really did, but
how do you think she thought she was going to get away with this, though?
Right.
I don't think she did. I don't even think he did. I think he just threw that out. It's a part of his little act.
But how are they going to get away with it? Like, in other words, they weren't even like, it wasn't even good. Like, I'm going to kill everybody. Well, and then what I'm going to do is leave and go to Hawaii and like let everybody know where I am. And like cameras follow me. Like,
I get you, Cassidy. I get you, because it's so, it's just illogical. Like they're thought, like that's what they're saying they believe. Then you're like, how are you believing that? Like, how is that going to go fly off for everybody to believe this, And then you, I don't know, you throw these things out. I mean, half the stuff they were predicting when, oh, she's going to die. Half the shit never, obviously didn't happen. No, I don't know. It was because it didn't happen. Like they planned some shit and it didn't happen.
Right. Like
you know what I mean? Like their other predictions.
Right. Like the hint,
and then they're like, oh, well, you predicted this earthquake. Well, guess what? You could have read somebody predicting that earthquake from somewhere else and he threw it out there. You know what I mean? People are shady like that.
Right.
Also,
he's an opportunist. This man is working for his, doing to get what he wants, and nothing is going to stop anything from that happening, right? So he'll have to say whatever he wants. He's going to say it, and he knows how to already talk to these followers and believers that he had, buying his little books and shit like that and listening to his doomsday stuff. There's a niche out there, and he's taking advantage of it. It's done all over the place, Now, again, to your point, people don't go and kill folks at the end of the day for it, right? To get their thing, but their whole thing was not this doomsday cult. That wasn't the reason. Those kids were in his fucking way.
It was money, and the kids were in his way. Yeah,
they were in his way.
Definitely, and it's awful. But that's it, because there's been doomsday every 2 years. We're gonna die.
Right. Well, always. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I remember being a kid and like,
remember?
Oh yeah. And
remember the day after?
We're gonna die.
The day after.
Yeah.
I was panicked. I was a panicked child. You hear me?
Man,
I was a panicked kid. I saw that. Why the fuck are you showing that?
Oh my God.
I thought we were dying the next day. I didn't know. Do you know what I mean? And,
yeah.
Unless these people have child mentalities, then that's the only way I can see. But we see the woman that was interviewed. I'm sketchy on her. Did you really believe this? No. She started was like, but you're in too deep already. Oh, but then they try to throw you under the bus. So then that's when you be like, oh no, it's really not real, because they're gonna try to pin some shit on me.
Well, that was it. No, and the best was that, and this is what I said. The best is that Melanie Gibb decided that it was time to talk when she was at risk. Because now she's at risk. Because now they said, oh, it was you have the kids. And she's like, oh, no, I have some things I'd like to tell. And it's like, where were you for 6 months?
Yeah.
Literally. Where were you for 6 months? I'm sorry.
They forgo that question. They don't even answer that.
She's another one. We'll see. And I think the trial's going to be very interesting. They are going to be allowing live stream. So that, we'll stay tuned for what's next. I will be very interested to see how together or not together the two of them are, if they turn on each other, facing what will inevitably be a life sentence, if not the death sentence. I don't know what the death sentence laws are, the capital punishment laws are there, but they're also being investigated currently in Idaho. Is it Idaho
Mm-hmm.
for the death of Chad's ex-wife? So they
Oh
both.
yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's going to be some dominoes. But I think for me, the reason why I wanted to bring it up is that it's really started to occur to me that there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on with people, and that all of this, like, I just really think at the end of the day, it comes down to being a good person. And I really think at the end of the day, it comes down to keeping up your side of the street clean. And if you're somebody who's divorcing 4 times, and then on the 5th one, you're on a killing spree. Like, I just feel like maybe at some point you need to, like, reel it in, get yourself some therapy, and just like get the apps
before you kill.
Get the apps off your phone. Maybe you should start focusing on, like, a little bit of self-healing, a little bit of, like, self-work, a little check-in, and see what's going on with you. You actually don't need that 5th husband. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. Well, and him spouting that stuff back to you,
Just in general, like, what are you doing? Like, why you got to get married so much? You have kids. Like, can you focus on your kids? They need you, man. Like, now they're all devastated. 2 of them are dead.
The poor grandparents.
All her kids are dead.
I know. Well, the oldest one's not, but he's
devastated. That's right.
He's devastated, and I feel
devastated.
So moving on. I mean, Lori Daybell, Lori, whatever your name is,
Lori
Infamous
girl. You made your bed. I could say all 5 last names, but I have them all here.
Yeah.
I do. I have them all here. But I won't be a bitch. So
I'm sorry.
Although those first 2 husbands, honey, what do you think? Are they like?
Well, the one also passed away. Okay, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So the first 2 are like, I dodged
the bullet. You think the first 2 are like,
dodged the bullet?
Jesus. Literally. Those two are like, fine. See you later.
Yeah.
So Krystal, we're going to move on to this really awful case. I did a lot of catch up on this case because I moved house. For those of you who do watch the podcast, you can see I'm in a different office. I have a new office now. I moved house recently. So during this, I was moving house. And so I missed a little bit of it. And I caught up today. So I know that there are a lot of things that people already know about the case. But let's just do, like, a recap on who this is and what happened.
Okay. So this is the Army soldier, Vanessa Guillen. She was a Houston native, 20 years old. It seemed, from reading about her, a real go-getter, smart young lady, knew what she wanted to do from when she was very young, had plans, had goals, and is reaching there. Now, she graduated 2018, went to the Army, joined, enlisted, was there, stationed at Fort Hood.
Something her parents didn't want, by the way.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, probably not, probably not traditional.
No, they didn't want
Latina family, but supportive of her.
Yes. No, what I'm saying is they just weren't thrilled about it, but of course they loved
probably
her.
Very worried about their young girl.
They were, her being deployed.
I can't even fault them for that, but
no,
kudos for them for allowing her to see her dream, and so she was there, had a good time, and it was having a great time, a good experience, and then at some point she changed, her a lot of other people that were around her and knew her, they said, the last few weeks of her life, she just changed, and they didn't know what was going on. She was losing weight. She was looked very down, just not who they knew her to be, and very close to her mom, very close to her sisters. Her mom was trying to, what's going on. And she finally admitted to them that she was being sexually harassed by a superior at her station in Fort Hood, and of course, mom was like, oh, hell no. Well,
who do we call?
And she knows the culture. She's been there already. She had been in the service and knew the culture, the mentality, and what happens to women specifically.
Oh yeah.
When they are sexually aroused and they have the nerve to report it, right? And nothing happens to the perpetrator. And matter of fact, they said a lot of, I've been reading a lot, and they were saying a lot of women are just looked at and not even believed. You know, they're made to look like liars, you know, basically retaliation in a passive aggressive manner, you know, and that's what's done. Well, you know, it was getting really bad. And the last thing they said, you know, her mom said, she admitted that she's being sexually harassed. The mom wanted to report it. She didn't want to report it. She said, I can handle it my way. You know, I'm going to take care of it.
I think she just wanted to be done. Like, she didn't have that much more time.
She really wanted to
just wanted to get out of there. Yeah.
Yeah. After 60 months of being in there, she wanted to ride her time out.
And she was getting close, right? Like, she was going to go overseas, right?
She was she was making her way to get out of that. Well, April 22nd, it's the last day anyone saw her. After 12:31 p.m. in the afternoon, the woman never left the base. Okay. And they were like, where is this young woman? People were looking for her. The next day, they reported her missing. Where is she? You know, and then like everybody else in the world, how in the heck is this somebody going missing? Not just a young woman, but any soldier. Like, where are they? Like, and how are you not looking for this? And let me tell you guys, I'm back a little bit. I have a friend that is in the service, and well, she was in the service, her husband's still in, and she's got a lot of friends around there. She has one particular friend that's a really good friend of hers that's stationed at Fort Hood. She sent her this story when this happened, you guys, and this was, I don't even know how long after she went missing, but they weren't looking. They weren't doing anything.
Of course not.
This is what
they weren't trying to find her. Okay. They weren't trying to find her. And I could not believe when I was perusing, you know, looking, reading, catching up on the things that I'm interested in. I saw the story and bam, there she was. It wasn't a big thing, but here she is. I mean, a long time after my friend had told me about this, I'm like, I'm like, finally they're looking for this woman, because I couldn't believe they're not looking for her. Like, what do you mean?
Yes.
You know?
Her sister, by the time her sister was going batshit. Her sister was screaming, and nobody knew the context, right? Nobody knew the context. So nobody understood why the sister was so angry. But that is why she was so angry, because this girl had complained. She had complained about being harassed. Nothing was done. Then she went missing. Nothing was done. Yep. And had they not been loud, something still probably wouldn't have been done. Yes. And this is not the first time that we've seen this. This is not the first time that we've seen. We know that this goes on. We know that this goes on. We know that this goes on for women, but we know that this goes on in the military. Something goes on. You look at these cases where there's friendly fire, families having to work forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever to find out what happened to their child.
Their child, exactly.
Yeah. And the military is telling us, please trust your children with us.
I know, exactly. I mean, you saw the footage of the high commander trying to answer the questions, like, what took you so long? And he was very methodical about it. And it's like, no, really, 70 days before this young woman was found. And I know a lot of her colleagues were looking for her. And she told her
were.
She said, they were looking for her. She did tell her mom, I'm not going to say anything. They're going to laugh at me or something. She was afraid she knew she wasn't going to be heard about this.
Well, when I see, so ultimately what happens is that they find out that she was killed, and I'll let you get into that. But what was interesting to me about this is that, I mean, everything, but what was interesting during sort of the meat of this thing, when this was sort of all going on, this young woman was the American dream.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
This young woman was the American dream. Yeah. Her parents were immigrants. Yep. They came here. She was an excellent student. She was an excellent athlete. She was beloved. She, instead of going to college, which she could have absolutely done, she went in to serve her. She absolutely, but by her grades and on her own merit, could have gone to a good school. She decided to go and serve her country. She went, and the change that you talked about, Krystal, she went and couldn't wait. She couldn't wait to go to basic training. She was tired, but she couldn't wait. She couldn't wait to be in the military. She couldn't wait to go overseas. She couldn't wait to serve. And then one day, she couldn't wait to be done.
That's right.
Yes.
She couldn't wait to be out. Mm-hmm. And that was all she was waiting for. The problem is that she was surrounded by predators. And I just want to know.
That's right.
When I see photographs of the young man that did this to her, We could talk about the woman, because here we go again. Another woman who's needy and needs attention, who's insecure, who's flattered by the attention of a young man living under the roof of a friend who extended himself and said, come live in my home. He starts sleeping with his wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shady.
And I'm sorry, I've just seen photographs of this young man, and I can tell you he's troubled. So this is who we have representing us overseas. This is who we have.
Wow.
This is who we have handling our conflict overseas. Young men like this, the government, the military, they don't take any responsibility for the mental health of the people that they have in our service. What are you talking about? This is where I get like, you know what? Because the crime is horrific. Unfortunately, it can happen in any neighborhood, in any town, to any poor young woman. It's awful. But the fact that it happened on the government's watch, that it happened on the military's watch, and that it happened on a base where they tell us that they are turning these young boys into men, and they're telling us that they're teaching these boys discipline and respect and honor, and these things are happening. This is what I don't understand. And this is where I get angry. Because if you want to tell me that, like, my neighbor kid wasn't raised right and his parents aren't paying attention and he does something disgusting to a young woman, you want to tell me that, then that is, unfortunately, I don't find that so surprising, right? But when you start telling me that these are boys who are going through training in the military and they're harassing women and they're being violent, and they're murdering, and then the military is, what's it, the Army? I'm sorry, forgive me. Is Army?
Yeah.
My nephew is Army, and I will not say much more than this, okay? Because I have a lot of respect for the fact that he went to Citadel and he worked hard, and he's Army. He's not he left the military, okay? He decided to leave. I can't speak to any of that. I will just say this: when he was in basic training, he came home, and he did very well. You know, he looked great, and we were all so proud of him. But he absolutely did not feel women belonged there, and he made that very clear to me.
Interesting.
And I was mildly horrified, but also understood that I didn't have an argument other than to say, like, I don't appreciate that, you know, and I don't think that you're right. And I think that there should be, you know, a respect shown to anybody that's there. But to him, the job was too hard for a woman, and she had no business there.
Okay, I was going to ask why he thought that.
But he had an aggressive stance, and I would never think that he did anything to hurt a woman or aggress upon her or harass her in any way. But what I'm saying is, if that was his attitude,
right?
And this is a young man who, right? What about a young man who's not mentally well?
Yeah, are there psychiatrists on these?
Girl, they
courts? There are. Okay. And there's no HR department, though, is there?
I mean, they have the military.
Well, not an independent one. They're
their own unit, honey. They have their own courts.
They try everything in, like, it doesn't even go to a civilian court.
Like an internal affairs, like in the police.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So, to your point, Cassidy, they don't have outside, you know, they do everything in-house. They have their own courts, they have their own judge, all of that. Well, to your point, after all of this stuff that happened, you know, this horrible crime to Vanessa, there are bills. Actually, the family's meeting with President Trump today to discuss a new bill to go in, a new act to go in, where there will be a third party who these soldiers and these, you know, these Marines, all of these people, and women in particular, but let's not stop and say it's just only women, but we know that's majority, but, you know, even some men, where they can go and they can be safe and they can say,
men are being raped too. Men are being raped and attacked, and gay men in the military.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Just men. Yeah. Like, we don't know. We don't know what's zero clue what really be happening. You know, what really happens. And we see things like these horrible crimes that come out of it, or we may know somebody who says, oh girl, yeah, this happens, you know, because I've heard a ton of stories. I have nephew in the, you know, service, I have friends, I have cousins, all of that, and you hear, and I'll just be like, I'm horrified, really, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's horrifying. And if you have your own, you know, it's almost like your own bubble, your own unit, you know, you could do what you want to do, you know. And the thing is, the way that they've been investigating, 23 deaths, you guys.
Exactly.
That one at Fort Hood since January.
Yep.
Since
7
January?
Since January 23.
Yeah.
Now, not all of them are murders,
No.
but several of them.
A lot of gunshot wounds.
Yeah, a lot of gunshot wounds.
So a few things here. So first of all, let me say, Trump has acted very quickly in seeing these parents.
That's
great.
And that's a beautiful thing. Can we just acknowledge our president? Yeah. Can we acknowledge our president right now?
That's right.
Regardless of
great. And I hope
it. You know what I mean? He did a good thing. He did a good thing. We should say he did a good thing.
Sure.
Okay. So he did a great thing. That's beautiful that he's seeing them so quickly. I do hope that it leads to something for them.
I do too.
And the fact that he is willing to see them so quickly is pretty amazing. I'm shocked by that. And I think it's great. The other thing is that, the laws do need to change. It all needs to change. But we didn't really, for people who don't know, just to quickly recap. I mean, basically what happens is that this is the officer that's been harassing her. He has been suicidal, and another officer invited him to move into his home with his wife. He begins to have sex with this other officer's wife. He is harassing Vanessa. Vanessa just wants to be done. She just wants to get out. She's going to bide her time. It's going to be okay. He invites her to the armory room to clean guns, whatever it is that they do. And she goes missing. It turns out that not only did he kill her, but the girl helped him dismember her body and hide her and bury her in the desert. Right, in
3 different places, honey.
She helped. I mean,
that baby.
So they move doing bad things. Please stop.
This is what I'm saying. So here's another example.
There's another example, Cassidy.
Now she's a kid though, right? How old is she?
Oh no, honey, we can't say she's 22. She was older than all of them.
Yeah, see.
She was older than all of them involved. That boy was 20. There's not a boy. She is no excuse. That girl, 22-year-old girl, and all her shit that she was doing after she dismembered that girl and burnt her and buried her and went back and poured concrete on her, taking Instagram photos, sending out little snippets about how dangerous and how black her heart is. And it's all fucking fun and games. It's all fucking fun and games.
Well, this is what they all think, that they all think they're playing a game.
I'm sick of
They all think they're fucking playing a game.
They do.
It's horrific. First of all, everybody needs to put their fucking phone down. Enough with I saw photographs of that girl and then I saw the sexy stuff, and then I saw the mugshot.
Yes.
Shut up,
she be catfishing now.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Cassidy.
She's got dyed orange hair.
Thank you. Wait, because let me tell you, they said they showed.
Look, this is what I look like. This is what I look like in the morning. This is what I look like at night. This is what I look like on camera. They will tell you they have seen me in person. This is warts and all, wrinkles and all.
Honey, girl, that was not her in those photos. This one, they had her on the side. I said, that might've been you 5 years ago. That was not you now, honey, because that wasn't even you a month ago after you did that.
Was never her. She was face-tuned to the
didn't go that bad in 2 months.
Amazing. So that made me
laugh.
What
I said. I was like, I don't know what that picture was or who that was. Yeah.
And then there's this photo of her looking like
what? I was like, what? I really had to pay attention. It's that's her. But that looks like it's about a year and a half later. Her body now. I was like, that was not her. She was posting old photos,
So
but
insecure girls who need attention of men, who are bored out of their minds, who don't have identities, who don't have a soul, who don't know how to just put the phone down and put your tits away and go read a book and go create something and go make something and go do something and go be something and change the world you live in. Stop it already. Because you know why? Everybody's prettier than all of us.
Exactly. There's always somebody prettier than you. Number one. Number two.
You're never gonna be the prettiest. No. You're never gonna give the best blowjob. I don't care who you are. Yeah. There's always gonna be somebody. And the only thing that's gonna keep your man is if you're awesome. That's what's gonna keep your man. That's what's gonna make people love you.
And now her butt's sitting in jail, so
Yeah. With and it's unfortunate, he killed himself. She's charged with tampering with evidence.
Right. So she's so
actually accessory after the fact.
This
she should be going down for the same crime.
Yeah, but this
line.
prince leaves her holding the bag. So this Prince Charming leaves her holding the bag. This Zero leaves her holding the jet. I mean, you gotta love that too.
Cowardice, sweetie. And you know, he was harassing other women. Yeah. And he was even supposedly investigated for it, and never, you know, nothing ever came about. And they actually said she never got a chance to even. She didn't say that he was, you know, she didn't report him. So, but they're trying to say that the reason that he killed her was because he was sleeping with another officer's wife. I mean, it's a combo. You were harassing that girl. Clearly, they probably said, if you come one more time, someone coming one more time on you, you're done.
Right. Like how many times?
That, because it's something that took him over the edge to do that to her. He lured her to work, you guys. It wasn't her day to work.
It was her day off.
Yeah. It was her day off. And so she had to do this certain job, which inevitably had her go into the room, the armor where he was. She had to go in there to finish the part of her job that she was. Something went down. She told him she was telling.
I think so.
Probably that's what it is. You're right. Like a 3 strikes kind of rule or something. And he would have been.
Because come on, dude, how many times they gonna try to cover your shit up?
Yeah. And so how does this, so what happens now, Krystal, in closing? So what happens now? So now we're waiting for her to go on trial?
So, well, yeah, she's in jail. We're waiting for her to be, you know, I mean, the feds are charging her. Has she been charged? So she's been moved to federal courts and things because the feds are charging her.
Okay.
It's out of this, you know, the state now. It's out of there. Now there's a bill that one of the senators is trying to pass as well that's helping, you know, people who are in a situation to have a safe haven. Okay. And then there's an act that they're trying to, you know, that's going to be national, you know, because the state can do its own thing, and then they're trying to have this national bill and acts also passed, you know, by Congress. And they want the family fighters, dude. They're fighters.
I know they really are
not going to stop, and they have all the support. I mean, there's people down here. Last weekend, me and my friends, we were going down to San Jose to the flea market, which is a ton of fun. We were going down there, and there was this big old like trail. At first, I was like, "What is it? Is it a funeral?" And then I was reading on the cars, and I was like, "Something." And then I saw her name, and I was like, "Oh, it's a support, you know, train down on the freeway."
I want to see more people screaming in the street over her, man.
Yeah.
We need to have, it's got to be systematic, and it's got to be all of us.
I agree. I want to see people screaming in the street about her. I want to see people screaming about the military
and fighting for this young woman.
Yeah,
she deserves to be fought for, and she deserves to have justice, just like all the other people in this world that are done wrong. And all these other officers that have died this year in a bad way and have not gotten the justice that they deserve, which is just investigate it properly. They all say, "Oh yeah, we think it's you know, it's some type of you know, funny goings on." It's, you know, well,
they didn't do anything about it.
What the fuck are you gonna do? People are waiting to wonder why their baby is dead.
I am tired of people turning a blind eye to bad behavior in general, in the military and in the police department. I just think there are wonderful soldiers and there are wonderful police officers, but the truth is there are blind eyes being turned at in these boys club, thin blue line bullshit. It's enough. And I'm held accountable every single day of I can't do one thing without somebody where they're going to leave comments under this video talking all kinds of shit about all 3 of us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, come on, man. And I don't care. I leave the comments. I don't give a shit what they say. I don't read it. So we talked about this. I don't read it.
That's right.
So
because it's
don't, because it's rude.
I don't care.
But my point is that there should be accountability. So I'm not going to like turn off comments because somebody's going to say something.
No,
and I'm certainly, you know, so I'm tired when Trump, who I just actually praised for doing what he did with this case, I will say when he did the whole grab him by the pussy thing, like I got some big fights about the fact that it was locker room talk, right? And I don't typically fight about things like this, right? I don't typically like get on a soapbox about I have my political views, and I've actually fought very hard politically for different things at different times in my life. I do it privately, but I've done it, and I've put my dollar where my mouth is, and I've put my time where my mouth is, and I have protested in the street at times when I really felt it was necessary. I just don't talk about it. I don't put it on social media. It's nobody's business. I do it for me. I don't do it to virtue signal to the world. I do what I feel is best for the world I live in, you know, and that's the way I do it. My point is this. When he did the grab by the pussy thing, I got into a public argument with a childhood friend who I love and I am to this day so deeply regretful for the argument that we had because it shouldn't have happened. And she's not right and I'm not right. We're both wrong and it shouldn't have happened. But the reason I'm saying it is that the fact that it's considered locker room talk is a failure.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Is a failure.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's a failure by many people, and it starts with the parents, and I don't care. And that's how I feel about it. If that is what it is, then you have failed. You have failed. Right. If you tell your son that he's allowed to speak that way about women, you have failed.
Yeah.
And it is a problem that is bigger than just you and your kid. And that's, it creates a culture that then creates an attitude and then creates for certain people who are not mentally stable actions that are unacceptable. Yeah. Because you said it's okay to talk like that in private in the locker room about women. And if you think that it stays in the locker room between those boys, you are wrong.
Yeah.
And that's, as somebody who's a victim of sexual violence, I'm good, everybody. No problem. I'm all good. But my point is, right? Oh, I'm good. But it's like as a person who's a victim, a multiple time actually victim of sexual violence throughout my life, I promise you it doesn't stay in the locker room with your kid.
Right.
Exactly. You know? It's passed on. It's pervasive.
This
pervasive. Attitude has been pervasive for years. In corporate America, I've seen it Krystal.
That's right, Anne.
Several times. Same situation. A woman is complaining about a partner.
The boss or a
boss. And this boss is known to have this behavior.
Yep.
Boys club, slap on the wrist. It's very hard. They have to get transferred. What happens is they get
lighten up. You're no fun. You're so what's your problem?
Yeah, exactly. Why aren't you hanging out with the boy? Just
or just get over it. Like get over yourself.
Didn't mean anything by it. We were drinking, but at a work event.
Yeah, at a work event, and the fact that I shouldn't have to. Listen, there are times, I have a lot of guy friends. There are times I laugh at things that are completely off color and stupid and probably shouldn't be said in mixed company. And I think it's funny, it's fine. But I do think when it's consenting adults and you both know where you stand and there isn't a power exchange and there isn't, imbalance of power, and two friends are having a laugh about something. It's very, if Mark, my lover, says something to me, it's very different than me being in a situation with somebody who I know could just say one thing in the industry and completely keep me from working forever, and that's happened to me too, multiple times. So I've been blackballed for not sleeping with people. There's
I'm sure.
Completely. And I don't care. I'm good, but it's just, it happens, and I think you're right. Anyway, I really, 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 I really pray for this family.
I do too.
And we know that Vanessa's in heaven. We know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and she has a really young sibling. They were talking about her 4-year-old, and they haven't really told him yet because he's so young, and it's just so heartbreaking. And then the sister,
and you know that she was put on this earth so that change could take place. And unfortunately, her family has to bear the burden and the pain of that, but they should know, and I'm sure that they do, being of Mexican descent and being always very devout people. From my experience, they know that she was put on this earth to do something greater than herself, and they're going to see to it that it happens. So how beautiful is that? She came from the right family, right? They gave her the right family. My family wouldn't have done that. I promise you that. So trust me. So beautiful. So good for them.
And I'm for you, honey.
Yeah, so. I know, honey. That's it. I know that. I have friends that would, and that's the thing. I do know that I totally know that. And
we'll be there.
And those are my family. Always has been. The people in my life that I've known forever. And new friends too that I just love so much. And sometimes you're put on this earth and you're given challenges and you're supposed to use them for good, and unfortunately mine was my tribe, and I'm just trying to figure out how to turn that into positive work. I've done it ever since I started writing music, so I've always turned it into work and turned it into good work. But, this girl's very lucky. She was born into a tribe that's going to make sure that her name does not get forgotten. I mean, how beautiful is that, Annie, so your amazing case.
Oui, oui.
Oui, oui. So
C'est
tell
un
us.
mystère, but not
Yeah, so definitely speak French because I love that, and I'm gonna speak French too. I'm gonna sound like a complete idiot, and so tell us this case. Tell us about this case.
Okay,
Amazing.
So
Totally don't know about this case at all, which is really exciting.
I'm kind of gonna go back. I'm gonna kind of tell it step by step, so everyone. So in April 2011, this family goes missing. It's their name is Dupont Lyonnais or something like this is their last name. So it's Xavier and Agnes. I'm not saying it totally right, but then they meet Agnes et Xavier, something like that. They meet when they're young, when they're 20, fall in love. He goes and then he travels for about a year. She meets another man, has a baby.
He's an aristocrat though. Maybe mention.
Right.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right.
So this man is an aristocrat, literally from noble family. And in France, c'est très important.
Yeah, important.
So important. You literally, all he hung out with people when he was growing up is other nobles. Yeah. And this is huge for lineage. You want to have a lot of children.
Right. Boys especially.
Boys especially. You even have the family crest. I mean, they literally had musketeers in their family and like a castle in the middle of France.
Yep. Wow.
Big time. His father was a count, un comte, as they say. Father was a count. And and so Xavier meets Agnes in the 80s and they fall in love, but Xavier wants to travel. So he breaks up with her after a year.
Dumped her.
Travel.
Yeah.
She's all brokenhearted. So she met another man and she's pregnant and he reconnects with her, Xavier. And they marry and he actually says, yes, I will, marry you. You're unwed. I'm going to, adopt your son, right? He fathers the first child, like he's no problem. That's my son,
right.
Number one. Right. And so then they end up having 3 more children. I wrote their names down just because, Author is the first name. Thomas, Anne, and Benoit.
So, I love that name.
Yeah. And so their ages, So
Benoit.
Thomas. Benoit.
That was the last boy. The second boy. Remember?
Yeah. So the second, Author,
Thomas, Anne, and Benoit.
And then Benoit. And Anne is the only girl, and they said she was studious.
Beautiful kids.
Beautiful, yes. Right. Beautiful, like gorgeous family.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, beautiful family.
Yes. So they settled in Nantes, France, which is a big city on the western side of France.
Western.
Yeah, and they live in a very typical like French home in the city where it's on the big block and each house is right next to each other.
It's a lot like Italy. It looks a lot like Italy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And typical French, you have your doors open all day, the shutters are open, you're laughing, you're cooking dinner, and it's a lovely family.
Riding your bike to get your produce, putting it in the basket, riding it back. Oh.
And then Xavier's like, bonjour.
Bonjour.
And he's like, I'm cooking for my famille.
Great.
And everything. And they have neighbors that are friendly. Like the one neighbor would do alternate.
Yeah.
They all seemed unusually warm for French people.
Oh, that's a fallacy.
I was like, the whole thing are so lovely.
We can go into
They're
it,
so nice. They all loved each other. Lovely. All the neighbors knew each other.
All the French people I've ever met are wonderful.
Yeah, that's a stereotype.
That was
even
racist.
When I went,
Cassidy, that was racist.
No, it was not racist. This is just a stereotype that people actually believe, Cassidy.
You like that they're cold.
You're not wrong that there are a lot of people like that though in France.
Les Parisiens are assumed to be froid, cold.
Right.
And so I lived in southern France and they would say like, oh, ils ont froid, like they're so cold up there. And then the southern French people are a little warmer. And I would say the same with Nantes, like the city of Paris can be cold, but all you need to do is say bonjour, the language a little, then you're your friend. But
and don't be the ugly American.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. We've witnessed
don't go with that attitude.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right. I've had
both. Trying to not trying to speak the language of the land that you're going
French
to.
fries.
Yeah.
You don't have to try. Fucking pull a book out. They're gonna help you. Okay?
And don't be so loud.
And
the loudness, the American loud, like
I hate that.
I can't,
I even hate that.
I'm like, we are loud.
Yeah,
We
but
are
no,
loud.
we're not though. We're not that loud. There are loud people who speak
There are.
really loudly. I don't speak
Right.
loud.
That's the thing.
That drives me crazy.
Yeah. So lovely family. The neighbor knows them. She does alterations for the kid. And then one day in April 2011, she notices their doors are closed. All the doors are closed and all the shutters are closed. And this is very odd for this family. She's like, they always had their windows open, even when they're on vacation. So she is alerted. Thank God for this neighbor.
She already knew.
She just said something's not right.
Wrong.
There was a note on the door that said, please, no more mail, send the mail away. No more mail should be delivered here. She's like, this is weird. So so day 3, she calls the police. They come, they look, it's locked. The door is locked. So they have to get a locksmith. They go in. It looks like the family has left. Like nothing really out of sorts, but it looks like they've left on their own accord. It was 4 children, 2 parents, and then 2 dogs. No one is there. The police end up going back like 6 times. They notice like on one of the visits, the pictures are missing.
The beds were stripped.
The beds were stripped. A little weird.
But no like real disarray. Nothing that looked.
Oh,
yeah.
Nothing that looked weird. And then, the 6th time, and this is over about like a week and a half to 2 weeks where they keep going back. And the neighbor keeps saying, no, look, you don't understand. Like they're super friendly. And then they could so then the neighbors this is like the red flag number 3. But they get these letters. Anya and Xavier, we've moved to the U.S. We're going to be working with we're secret agents for the DEA. If you're a secret agent for the DEA, you're not sending a letter to your friends saying
sending a letter.
Secret identities. You're protection program. No, you're not sending letters. So right away, that's crazy.
Already stupid.
Like horseshit.
That's like total horseshit. Like it's all very planned out. So then visit 6, they decide for some reason, I want to do it, didn't do it before, but they went behind the house in the garden. They saw the 2 doggy bowls like below the terrace and they noticed, they pulled and they discover graves. Yep. Graves with these poor babies buried and their mother. And it's all very methodical. They have, they're Catholic. That's the other big thing in France.
And they're Catholic. They all go to the Catholic church.
All the Catholic church, little church in town. And
everything was Catholic. Private.
And they find the dogs under there too.
Yes. So this is what's weird. So the mother and the 3 of the children are buried together with the dogs. And they all have like a religious symbol placed on each corpse. And then the son, Tomas, is buried separately. So then the investigation begins. They go through the whole freaking house. They don't see any blood anywhere because they discover each body has been shot in the head. Twice. They also discover the family has been put to sleep with sleeping pills. They discover it in
the autopsy.
In the autopsy. So they know that.
But everybody's there, but not the husband.
Everybody's there except for the husband.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Where is he?
That's weird. So wait. So
weird. Is he in the attic? Is he in the floorboards?
You know what I mean?
Xavier.
Bonjour.
So check this out. So here's what. So I'm watching this. So I'm watching this thing, and I'm going, okay. Only in like the first 2 seconds did I have like a thought of, well, maybe somebody kidnapped him.
Right.
Maybe it was because of him this happened.
Right.
And they've taken him. Like actually, we're going to kill everybody in your family, but you were going to torture you with us. You know what I mean? Come with us. Right. So that was my first sort of thought. But obviously, that's not where this story goes. But like just to quickly, like just to stop you there. So the father was aristocracy, which we covered. And he was known as being an excellent father, a really good husband, this beautiful sort of family. And during the course of this documentary, they are interviewing a childhood friend of his, somebody who was also aristocracy, who grew up in the same place that he did. And Versailles, where were they?
Versailles. Louis
14, 14.
Yeah. Versailles. So they grew up in Versailles, and the friend in the very opening scene, I have gnats in my house. I don't know why. I think it's fruit flies.
Invisible mosquitoes here. So
yeah, they're like the worst. So okay, so the if you watch this documentary, the childhood friend from Versailles, in the opening scene when he's in his convertible, when he's in his car, he looks exactly like Al Pacino. Like, so can we just
start?
Sure.
Like, it's crazy. Once they sort of go like straight on and like they're interviewing him, it's less so. But there is a scene in the very beginning where he's in the car and it's like you're looking at Al Pacino. And it just occurred to me how much the Italians and the French look alike.
They do. They're all every man.
So much, right?
Yeah.
So
depending on where you are too,
just because I have to be annoying, I thought I'd bring that up. The other thing I wanted to bring up was when there's the police chief who looks like he's got a dead bird stuck to his eyebrow.
That's like just hysterical, bringing up all the like facial stuff.
It's like this. It's like this.
I thought you were going to talk about the lawyer. I was about to go.
But that lawyer, the lawyer, the family lawyer.
Oh, the
and
family
talk about what he said. I'm pissed off with his lying ass. Don't get up here lying with some bullshit like that.
What'd he say?
I mean, he for sure, he's like, how could he do it? I can't believe.
He said he didn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Because he had a bad back.
Yeah.
You need to get up out of my face.
Yeah.
That is not a reason.
But also it's like
you can get down there.
Nobody knows how bad somebody's back really is. Sometimes you're just bitching. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're like, it's a liar. Bad. But it's not so bad when he needs to bury everybody under the house, honey. That pain goes away.
This man is a manipulator, liar. He's been doing it for his whole life. Yeah. He's been playing you. Like you're saying, it's so sophisticated. How long has he been planning this shit? Because
it turns out that he disappears. He disappears, and they start tracking, which I love.
I know.
He just is using his credit card, and he's just going. Yeah. He's just going place. It took the French police a month before they even realized where he was or what he was doing. That he was gone. That it wasn't him.
Heartbreak. This is the heartbreak, and he planned this. He's so methodical the way he killed them. In the sleep.
So methodical. So he goes, his father dies. He goes to the castle hoping that there's money. There's no money. He also is notoriously bad with money.
Yes.
Right? So this guy's terrible with money. Everything fails. He wanted to move to the United States. He wanted to move to the United States and it didn't work out. He had to come back. I wonder, and they didn't say this in the documentary, why he originally wanted to move to the United States.
Yeah, I think, the American dream. It could be easier to make money there because he clearly had these businesses. He was investing with people. They didn't work out.
Right.
A lot of, I think he's a great salesperson in America. People
because to me though, like wanting to like uproot your entire family, your aristocracy, your title, which means only something in France, let's be honest, and go to another country, to me, sounds like you're hiding something or
someone scammed him. I think someone scammed him. He lost all his money from that. Like he's going to go and do this move. That's where all the money all of a sudden was gone. So I'm thinking someone scammed him, got all his fucking money. He couldn't go nowhere after that. And then after that, it was just
somebody from New Jersey or something like that. Somebody from New Jersey.
A bunch of money people were after him. They mentioned it in the documentary. A lot of money people were after him. A lot of money.
Well, he no bills. Yeah.
So this is not the first person who's done this, right? No. We talked about John List. So basically the guy disappears. They trace him all the way across. He goes across France. He drives across France. He leaves his car. He stops at a hotel, and just basically like walks into the mountains with like a bag.
He misleads them. Bye. CCTV. It's all planned, you guys. This guy is methodical. This is the thing.
Do we think that he got on a train to like Croatia, or do we think that he got like on a helicopter? Like, in other words, how deep?
Well, you can contact a guy in Rue Louis La 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 on some street who makes a fake passport.
Exactly.
And you're done, dude. You're out. And he looks like an everyman.
He does.
I guess in those days, fake passports were easier because nowadays you can't get one so easy.
No, this is, 2000. You could just go. I researched before he murdered them. Okay, I'm going to need a fake passport.
Yeah. He had a plan.
So he's been planning.
He didn't plan this when he found that gun. That was just an opportunity.
He had a silencer on the gun, and then
the silencer on the gun was a big one.
The thing is like he buried his family specifically. This is like lesson again. I'm not a detective, but like lessons to the detectives of the world. Please look everywhere in a house.
Yeah,
underneath the house.
Look under the house. Maybe you look where like the bodies wouldn't obviously be. Like that's just like a suggestion.
Look. Exactly. If I were there as a like nosy Nelly as a sidekick gig for the
nosy,
I'd be up
in the you like this. Oh, sorry, no body in here. I mean, there's no body in here. I guess they're not here.
once you
That's
find
what
where the bodies are, I was like,
they have no reason to think these people were dead, though, right? So they're not going to be searching the way they should be searching.
right.
But they did go back for 6 days.
They didn't even search until one of the officers smelled something. That's the only reason.
The only thing on visit 6 in like
sixth visit. Now, if they had never smelled, if he had done a real good job and they never smelled something, we wouldn't even know about this shit. Except for the man is gone, the whole family's gone, and they're in the U.S. and they're living their own life and they don't want to contact anyone at home.
Yeah,
because which is what he was hoping.
Yeah. He cleaned that house. So I just want everyone to be on the APB about this guy. So guess what? Aristocracy lineage is gone? Not really, because you're a man. You could be married again to another wife.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Now, you can't tell your children that your grandfather was a count, because that's going to lead to...
Well, the thing is, it's not really technically the lineage then, right? Because he's not allowed to sort of be... In other words...
Well, he's still up. I mean, his lineage, I think his bloodline still exists.
He's alive, then he's a count.
And then you think that they would still have a right to...
I mean, as far as I know, Ann, what do you think? I mean, what do you
know
about?
I'm just feeling like maybe I find him, have a couple kids with him, and then I'll turn him in. That's why I'm asking.
Sure. Oh, sure. Well, and also I want to know what happened.
Ain't no money left in that family.
There's nothing left, right? He's trying to like saw the ring off of his dead father's hand.
Oh, yeah. So the ring, I don't know where that went. And then also, where's this castle in the middle of France that his best friend Al Pacino?
Well, this is the thing that I'm thinking. Like, I'll just take the castle. I'm good with it. I don't need anything else. I got my own money.
Yeah, so they suspect that they think he's in Latin America because he speaks,
he speaks a little bit of Spanish.
Better English though than Spanish.
Yeah,
and he wanted to come to America.
In the U.S. and his fantasy of DEA, whatever. DEA, you got a guy working for you.
He's floating around here. I think in the U.S. However, Argentina, like the one reporter lady said, and his best friend said.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, because at first I was like, oh, he's floating around here because he had that dream, but then I started thinking about. He got scammed coming here. That's what my own thought about that. But I think he probably more likely maybe in Argentina or somewhere where there is no extradition. He doesn't matter.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Well, that you have to be smart about that too.
Yeah. Well, he's such a planner. He probably
he's not that
he's
stupid.
So good at it. He knows.
He's just not good at it. I don't know. I mean, shit, he's good at it because his ass gone. We don't know where he's at. You know what I mean?
But what tragedy.
And he wasn't trying to hide the fact he killed that family. There's no way he's not trying to hide that.
Listen, this beautiful family all
that bought him time. That's all.
Wait a minute. What about the fact that he killed the one son the day later? His lineage.
Well, no.
Son number one.
Sorry. He killed the son the day later, though. And I thought, because when they kept saying the one he's in the one grave, and I always thought, I said, okay, well, that's his son. That's his son. You know, that boy looked dead on him. It was something about he wasn't going to kill that boy.
I know.
He couldn't bring himself to it, but he knew at the end of the day he had to do that. So he had to call him back from school. There's no way he would not succeed in his plan.
Yeah.
He had to kill his son too. You know,
exactly.
But he hesitated because the boy was at school. He sent him away.
Yeah.
I don't think he was going to at first, but I think that
what happens? Do people just become too much of a fight? Because there's been a few different cases, right? There was the case, and I'm unfortunately I'm blanking because I didn't do the research, so I don't have his name in front of me. But there was another guy who did this.
This is the John First guy.
Well, there's that guy, but there's there's a more recent example of the same thing, and I can't think of his name. I can see his face, like a thin, like blonde guy, killed his wife and his little kids. Yeah. Same thing, owed money and was like lying to everybody about the kind of work he was doing, and he wasn't. And killed his little kids. So the John List, you brought up John List. John List, they ended up finding in 1971 in New Jersey. He killed in Westfield, honey. He killed all his. He even killed his mother. He killed everybody.
He was like, that's so awful.
He killed everybody, and then he wasn't even that far away. Now you have to remember, this is internet and all of the photographs everywhere and cameras everywhere. It's like he just went to Virginia. He just went to Virginia.
Yeah, he went to Virginia. He went up the street. I'm like, for real?
So close.
He did the same shit he always had done, which was so interesting that the psychologist was able to say this person is going to be doing the same thing, like the same line.
That's right. Like he'll have a wife and he'll have kids.
Yeah, he'll be working in this, niche.
And that's exactly what he did. He started a whole new family. They found him in Virginia in 1989.
Yep.
And then he went to prison and he died in prison. But it's interesting because he did the same thing. He just like killed everybody.
It was money too, right?
It was
money was at the bottom of it. He was a failure, and he couldn't. He cannot get the money thing right for his family. So he gonna offer them like that's some type of present for them, so they don't have to live with his failures.
I hate to sound sexist, but I feel like it's this male ego problem. It's very fragile. And I mean, I'm sure maybe there's some women that have done it. And again, the percentage of this happening to men and their families is, we can think of several examples. And it's like, your ego is that fragile. Like you think you're ashamed, you feel shame that you can't provide for your family. You think your family's going to hate you. So you kill them.
Yeah.
And you go
women, I think we would all do ourselves a favor. I'm speaking to all women right now.
Yeah.
Every single woman, if you have a man in your life, I want you to look at him and I want you to say, listen, just leave.
Yes.
Do not kill us. You don't have to kill us. Just leave.
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to be mad at you, dude.
I won't be mad. Just go. Like, girls, save yourselves and save your kids. Let him off the hook.
Well,
because trust me, he's afraid of you. I don't know why he is. My man's afraid of me. Most men are. They're afraid. They're like, they don't want to like disappoint you.
They don't want to disappoint. It's such pressure on a
man. Man. And a lot of them put it on themselves. Some of us put it on them, but some of us really don't. Anyway. They just feel this thing is like, I didn't want to disappoint you, so I murdered you so that you wouldn't have to be disappointed.
Wait, I murdered you. I cleaned the whole house. I somehow locked it up.
I killed our kids and our dogs.
You just don't want the responsibility anymore, honey, because you fucking can't handle it.
But honey, I stripped the bed. But I stripped the bed like you like.
And even though I have a bad back, I spent hours.
I found statues for everybody. I buried everybody with a nice statue.
So, we're good. Yeah.
I want you to be proud of me.
Yeah, and I bought a silencer so no one heard, but somehow no one heard me digging a grave in the back.
Yeah.
Curious to me.
That's the other thing.
I don't know how
it's a city.
It's a city. The streets. Yeah, the cars driving. It's a big city.
No, but they're also close to each other. Like you would think somebody would have seen him. Yeah.
Well, you would think, but if he's digging in the middle of the night, who's up? I mean, nobody, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's not implausible that, this is what this person does, and it's sometimes I know we find it, we're like, really, who could, who did not hear back to Vanessa, but when she was murdered in that room, when he fucking bludgeoned her with the axe and all of that stuff, or the hammer, bludgeoned her, we know blood was all over that place.
Exactly.
And they know, witnesses said the next day, they saw him carrying out her body in that fucking tub thing. And he can barely. Y'all act like you ain't seen nothing, like you didn't know.
You know what makes me sick?
Not the witnesses, but
she was a smart enough girl to probably not ever be alone with that guy. But because he was her superior, what I mean is because he was her superior, she had no choice. In other words, she wouldn't have been. She was too smart.
Yeah, and he lured her in some way, and
well, he had to because she was her superior. He was her superior. She had to go. I mean, was she?
Yeah, but not her. Yeah, she was superior. And even if he wasn't in her unit or what she did, but still, like you're saying, that's that culture. You don't say no. She texted him for something. You know what I mean? It wasn't like she wasn't. I don't think she was scared of him. Right. I think, you know what I mean?
No.
I don't think she was scared of him like that. I think she was just like being harassed, and she didn't know how to get away from that. But she knew other women were harassed by him. Yeah. They said something, nothing happened. So she wasn't, I don't think, in fear for her life. You know what I mean? So
speaking of all of these women, there's a little bit of a theme here, right? So there's a little bit of a theme, I feel like, in these three stories. Annie, do you think that Xavier's wife sensed there was nothing to suggest that in this story?
Literally, he killed them in their sleep.
Yeah.
So
I think they were,
she had a sleep apnea machine and it suddenly stops. So
that's dead already.
Noise and he's a silencer. So I don't think this is the other thing for ladies and gentlemen, ask your partner about the finances. You do have to be about it. She probably was living in a dream. Like she doesn't know what he does. A lot of times women don't know. Bertie Madoff, perfect example. The wife apparently had no idea about his money, right?
Lifestyle's nice. The lights are on.
You need to know where your money's coming from.
At all. I didn't. Yeah. I think the son, Tomas, maybe knew when you come home, and I don't know what the father, because they're like, what did the father say?
The father said the mama had been in the accident, a really bad bicycle.
Right, but then you walk in the house and do you see the bodies, or are
no,
they?
No. They were all supposedly at the hospital, and he drugged the boy right away. He drugged him. He gave him a drink. He drugged everybody else, and so that's why there was also he shot him with the silencer. There was not a whole lot of blood. They were fucking dead. He just took it with the silencer. I think they were already dead.
He wanted it so that they wouldn't fight back. That he wanted to be able to control everybody. Well, because he had a bad back.
Right.
Well, hello.
And he didn't want to have to wrestle people to the ground.
That lawyer, he didn't do it. He had a bad back. And then
that oldest one would have whooped his ass.
Shut
up. If he was well able.
And don't you think denial is really the root of all evil?
Yeah, denial.
Not money. I feel like denial.
Money and denial, because you're right. And for both parties,
everybody. I just think in general, I just think denial is where it all happens. I just recently listened to that Chris Watts.
Oh my God!
Jail interview with the FBI.
I was thinking about that right now.
With the FBI agents, they went in to question him after he was already arrested and convicted and done and done and dusted in jail. The audio is online and it's long and it's kind of hard to listen to, but it's interesting. And I think about it because it's so the boy walks in and is everybody already dead? I always wondered this about Shanann. Did Shanann just walk in and the girls were gone, or were they not gone? He talks them through that night, pretty clearly. And I feel like he's telling the truth at this point. I do. I just feel like he's I'm not even trying to lie.
Why lie?
Everybody knows what I did. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's not, this is not a guy who would have I really believe this. I think that was a perfect storm. I actually think Chris Watts probably wouldn't have killed anybody else. I think he just, for whatever reason, killed them, and it was awful. But I don't think that he's somebody who was couldn't wait to kill, and he'd been thinking about it since he was a kid. I don't feel like it was like that. But anyway, my point is this: these cases and these people, the denial of being with someone who is violent or just turning a blind eye in general to situations, the people that did it in the Lori Vallow case, the people that did it in Vanessa's case, the people that did it in the Nance, what is it? Is it Nance? Nance France?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That seems unfortunate, but okay. So Nance France case, but you know what I'm saying? Just people who are just sort of living with somebody who's going to kill you. Do you not see, at no point are you noticing a change in behavior or a change in patterns or?
Right. Maybe because it said he was doing not well those past couple years.
I just hope I'll know if Mark's ever planning my murder.
Look for a weird look in his eye. That's what the neighbor said in France.
Yeah.
The neighbor next to the dad.
He did.
So the neighbor next to the dad was he was always very weird. But when he came the last time, he had a different look in his eye. He had
that gun. That's solidified.
I definitely think if anybody has a look in their eye that you don't like, you should call the cops. That's what
Just don't talk to them again. Get them out of your house.
This has been so amazing.
Tell
I just
people what
love
you're
the
going to do to them.
This is fun.
That's the cardinal rule. Don't tell somebody what you're going to do.
No.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing.
If it's against the law. I mean, I don't know what went down, but I'm just saying, you see that looking at cases and reading about it, hear that a lot. Well, that person, they told other we're going to do this. And I'm like, don't we know that's the number one rule?
Yeah.
Besides don't have sex, in a scary movie.
Yeah.
Don't tell somebody what you're going to do to them to get them put away.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's just something. And don't tell it, but don't tell the person you're going to do it.
Right. Or tell them and then you tell people. You know what I mean?
I'll pretend like I like you, whatever, but I'm turning your ass in at 101.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
We don't know.
I just think
don't know the situations in either like that.
I just think people like to go along to get along, and I think it's a mistake in a lot of situations. And they're turning blind eyes in their relationships. They're turning blind eyes with people in their lives. I think they're turning blind eyes, at work. And I think it's to keep yourself safe. And I think that that's a shame because you're seeing this shit more and more. People are doing crazy things behind the scenes. I don't think that the internet is helping at all.
No.
But we will reconvene with 3 more cases, hopefully in about a week or so. Yeah. I love you guys. It was so good to see you. This was so fun.
Yeah.
And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you soon.
All right.
Okay. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.